Hey everybody, welcome back to my layout. This video will be a layout update for June 2020. Let's take a look at what's new on the layout. And we'll start with this Athearn Genesis SD90 43MAC-H. I got a Loksound V5 decoder. I can't remember the exact sound file off the top of my head, but it's ESU's only sound file they have right now for this 90MAC-H. I don't know if it's 100% correct. To me it sounds kind of weird, but it's the closest you can get right now, I think. Absolutely beautiful model from Athearn Genesis. They just seem to be getting better and better, like on the detailing. The handrails are super straight. Everything is, I mean, it's just a fantastic model. It was a little difficult putting my own speaker in it. I used an iPhone 4S speaker, and it turns out that that's a bit too long compared to what Athearn does, where they use kind of a dual sugar cube type setup inside an enclosure. So we'll just take a quick trip back in time a couple weeks to when I was first putting the decoder in this, and I'll show you how I had to mill the chassis a little bit to get that iPhone 4S speaker to fit in there. So I've got the Loksound V5 decoder in there. Something's not right about that. So I still need to get the right sound file in there. Another interesting thing that I'd never seen before, it's the way that Athearn had this light board wired. Functions 3 and 4. And this is just right after I put the 21-pin decoder in. The ditch lights have their own functions. So that's something I've never seen before, which is interesting. I can fix it. It's not a problem. So I think function 3 is the engineer's light, and function 4 is the conductor side ditch light. So that's weird. All I need to do is just take the leads and just choose one or the other. Probably put them both on function 4. So I wanted this thing to have really good sound, so I did get an iPhone 4 speaker in there, but it was not easy. So it's back here in the radiator section, you can see. And there is no room at all in this shell. There's so much weight they put into this thing. Like this has got to be the heaviest locomotive I've ever seen. This solid weight right up to the top of the I think it's the dynamic brake portion. Then the shell drops down, goes over the decoder board. You got no room there for the small speaker, and then you get these weights back here. And this removable section, see this little kind of rectangle from here to here, on the DCC and sound models, that weight isn't there, and they put a speaker box in that's that size. But I didn't want to lose any of that extra weight, and I didn't have a speaker box that's that size. Unfortunately, the iPhone 4 speaker is too long for that. So what I had to do is mill this weight down quite a bit, actually. Probably took it down well over 1/8 of an inch, or like 3-4 millimeters. You can see here my work is not perfect by any means. It's definitely not level. I did it on my vertical belt sander. I just removed the weight and sanded it down, but taking it down that 4 millimeters, or a little over, maybe around 3/16 of an inch, I was able to get that iPhone 4 speaker in there and get some really good sound into this thing. There you can see the top view a little bit. I even had to tuck the what's the rear pickup wires, are the big ones, and the small red and black on this side is the rear headlight. So I had to tuck those off to the side to also make the clearance there. Cut some new grooves in this end. So if you want to put an iPhone 4 speaker into an Athearn Genesis SD90 43MAC-H, that's what you need to do. If you want to keep this weight and not get the Athearn speaker box that goes there. One thing I really like about this, got the step lights there, and they're on their own function, which is neat. And the number boards are also on their own function. Really cool. Looking forward to putting the shell back on this thing, pulling some trains with it. So I just got this thing back from my buddy's place from getting full throttle and the sound file put into it, so I haven't ran it at all. This is literally the first time it's been on the layout, and we'll use it to pull some other new rolling stock that I got in this past month. We've got some of the Atlas, the new run Autoracks from Atlas, as well as Scale Train's Coil cars. So let's take a look at those. So these are the new Gunderson Multi-Max Autoracks from Atlas Masterline. Super nice cars. Very happy with these things. They're not like Intermountains. You don't have the see-through sides on them, but they're still super nice. Atlas actually changed their couplers. It looks like they've gone with a KD, like a number 58, which is, I'm super glad to see, because those Atlas couplers were terrible, the ones they had before. So it's awesome that they changed them. I got a few different road names. I got that KCS one. This one here is Modern CN. A nice bright BNSF swoosh. I'm pretty sure the tooling and everything's the same, it's just the paint is the only thing that's different. The last one I got is one of those new white CP block letters ones, and this one's super nice. Really fits in well with my Canadian Pacific BAMF here. You see these on the combined intermodal Autorack trains that CP has. So those are the Atlas Gunderson Multimax. The other thing that came in were these ScaleTrains.com coil cars. Let's just take a close look at these, because there's a lot of detail on these things. So these are a new run from Scale Trains. These are the Thrall Trinity 42-foot coil steel car. Got a few different paint schemes of these, and each of them have slight different variations. I really like them. I have had a few issues with them though from Scale Trains, and I mean, the first one was the walkways on these things. I mean, they're really nice. You got etched metal walkways, but just about every car I had to re-glue the walkways. Not a huge deal, and it probably just is the the time in transit and whatever, and changes in humidity can pop these up. But they were all had bows in them and stuff, so I had to use some weights, glue them down. So it also comes with these coil guides here, these little triangle pieces on the ends. You can see they're black on this one, just barely peeking out from the sides of the coils there, right there. And what those do is guide the hood on. So you can see one just popped off there as I was taking this hood off. So you have to install those yourself, which is no big deal. The coil weights are interesting. I had some issues with mine. So it comes with 3 different sizes, and they give you these stickers that you put on here that makes the load look like it's wrapped, which is cool. But mine was missing. It didn't have the sticker sheets to do all of them. You could only do part of them. So I was able to use kind of the little bit of scrap extra to almost partially do all 4. There's also a large coil they come with, but for some reason they didn't fit well under my hoods, and I did get in touch with Scale Trains, and he said that most of the time it's because these sprues from the details on the hood will protrude into the inside of the coil and inside of the hood, and then you can't put the big one in. So another really cool thing about these is they come with these load guides, and these actually match up into this side piece here with these little nubs that stick out, which is super cool. So you can you really can tie down these coils inside the car, so that it works pretty good actually. So you put them from there, and just like the real thing, it prevents lateral movement of the coils from sliding back and forth when they're in transit. So that's pretty neat. So that's the CP one. There's a couple other road names that I got. I got a few more CP, plus this is a CHTT, which is kind of a gray hood on black, and then an old Conrail coil shield, which are really cool cars. Scale Trains has their own couplers, which is, I know a lot of manufacturers try to do that, but I've had nothing but problems with, like, look at this. Just about all of my cars, I don't know what it is, but they just do not like to stay coupled. You look at them the wrong way and they uncouple. So there, I'm coupled there. But then as I'm going around the layout, I'll often leave a few behind because the slightest back and forth and these things uncouple. So they're hanging on pretty good now. So those are the new 42-foot coil steel cars from Scale Trains. We'll take a close roll by here and then we'll move on. There, we lost another one. I don't know what it is with these couplers on these things. I don't know what I need to do to get them to work good. The slightest little kind of a misalignment, like they're going through some number 6 switches there, so they're not quite perfectly aligned, and you see they just drop them off like that. I don't know what I gotta do. I gotta something. I'll have to do some tuning on these things. Alright guys, well that'll do it for new stuff on the layout. Let's take a look at what we've been working on down here over the past month. So I got a 12 pack of these Rapido Trains switch stands. And so these are injection molded. They come in a kit. You need to assemble them. These are like a rake. I think it's Racor or Racor style switch stand, which is more of a CN. The CP ones kind of have an open body, but for what you can get right now, these are close enough, and they look pretty good. There's 6 of them in total in Banff Yard, so even the handles are orientated the right way. And there's one thing I didn't realize until I was studying the pictures: not all switch handles are the same orientation based on how the switch is installed. So that was interesting. So you can see the furthest one there, the handle kind of goes to the left, where the mid one goes to the right. So it's kind of cool to try and capture just the real subtle nuances of the prototype there in Banff Yard. There's a side profile, and these do operate, so you can, if you're really careful, you can move the handle and the target. So that's pretty cool. I wanted to make sure I didn't glue them permanently in one position. Really, these are pretty much stock, besides I airbrushed them with kind of a fade light gray, just to kind of give them that sun bleached look, because they come like a real dark, shiny ABS plastic look to them. There's kind of a high level view of them in Banff Yard. Here's the other 3 for the other end. I haven't installed them yet because I find if I'm reaching over the layout to do stuff, so that I'm not reaching over them and accidentally break one of them, but they're all built and ready to go. Just easier to get them all done when you're doing the same workflow like I am. Again, just working off prototype photos, so if anybody's ever been to Banff, you know the one at the far kind of railway west end of the yard, really close to the signals. It's got the old school CP oval target like this, as well as the ones with the short targets, so I captured that as well, so that'll be cool seeing that. That's the fun part to me, is studying the photos and, you know, really trying to capture all the minute details of the yard. Another new tiny detail, I actually did these a while back, but I forgot to share them in the videos. These are the fiber optic sticks that mark underground fiber optic lines along the right-of-way. These are very common on CP. You see these all over the place. They're, you know, about 4 feet high, 4 to 6 inches wide. So I've taken photos of them, you know, the ones in Banff Yard, and just like the prototype in the yard, there's 2 of them in this spot. So I kind of did 2 different ones, and you can see the differences here. This one is more of a kind of a sun faded. It's been out there for a long time, and this is like a new one that they put in. So just looking at the other side, you can see this one, the you know, the writing's faded off of it. Can't read it anymore, and this one's got the new label on it. So there's lots of variation in these posts. I think they're like fiberglass, you know, there's nothing really fancy about them. So the way I do those, they're just on printer paper, and I use Coil Draw to kind of make this up. So what you're seeing here is this, you know, there's one that's a newer one, and then it kind of fades to older ones depending on what you want. What you do is you cut these out, and then you fold them in half on this line, and then you get 2 nice printed sides when you glue it together. So nothing super high tech, but those are the little details that for me really make the scene. Big 90MAC-H is just making its way through staging right now. Looking forward to putting some revenue miles on this thing, so look for that coming up maybe this month. We'll get it on a train. Maybe we'll make a really big train with this thing and see what it could actually pull. So that'll wrap up this video update, guys. As always, thanks a lot for watching, and we'll see you next time.